Hello again, time for another look through the papers, and with us this morning to review them, Nigel Nelson, the political editor of the Sunday Mirror, and political commentator Nikita Malik. Hello again to you both. Nigel, let's start with the Sunday Express. Why is Jacob Rees-Mogg making the headlines today?
Well, it's Brexit again. What Jacob Rees-Mogg is saying is that the downfall of Boris Johnson can be compared to the murder of Julius Caesar. I'd have thought if he was looking for classical analogies, Caligula would have been rather better. But his central point is that those who betrayed Boris will now try and neuter Brexit. Now, personally, I think that's just complete nonsense, that Boris Johnson's demise had nothing to do with Brexit. It was all about his lack of personal integrity, and that the election of the next Tory leader shouldn't be about Brexit either. I was a Remainer. I accept that I lost the argument. I want to make the best of Brexit now. And every time I speak to a like-minded politician, they say more or less the same thing. So Brexit really shouldn't be an issue in this contest.
Nikita, what do you think? Do you think it's a valid concern coming from Jacob Rees-Mogg?
Well, I couldn't agree more with Nigel. I think this is, taking the attention away from the major issues of the day and the issues that the next Conservative Party leader will have to face, mainly the impact of the pandemic and the cost of, the direct impact and effects of the cost of living crisis. I think Brexit, has had massive implications, but it really isn't, at this point, in my opinion, what voters are focusing on. Rather, it's these bigger issues, and it's really why taxation, as we're seeing today, has been kind of the front line of what the major party candidates are vying for, which is directly linked to the cost of living crisis.
Okay, let's have a look at the Telegraph. And what Jeremy Hunt is saying there is obviously in relation to this leadership contest. Can you bring it up? Let's have a look. There we go. He says he's the only one who hasn't served in Boris Johnson's cabinet, Nigel.
Yes, and that seems to be that at the moment, what he's arguing is his best leadership credential, where, of course, all the others have. He was offered the job of Defence Secretary after he lost the last leadership contest to Boris Johnson and turned it down. I think Jeremy Hunt is actually the one to watch. Some people are dismissing him as yesterday's man, but he's a very shrewd political operator. I've been watching him in Parliament, glad-handing potential supporters, so he seems to be running a leadership campaign basically for the last 3 years. What he's doing in this interview is actually laying out some genuine policies. So he's talking about tax cuts, but actually putting figures on them. He wants to cut corporation tax, which goes up to, which will be at 25%, back down to 15%. He wants to cut business rates. I'm not sure taxation should be the area where they're concentrating on with inflation so high, but at least he's being fairly clear about the direction he's going in.
What do you think, Nikita? Do you think he's the one to watch?
I'm actually not so sure yet. I think there are a number of serious candidates in this race, and we're certainly going to see very soon who the main contenders are. But I do think that it's interesting that he has specific policies, because this is what we need to focus on, not just the politicians, but the policies as well. And how these will be differentiated from candidate to candidate, not just economically, but social and political policies as well. And that's where I think things will get really interesting when we begin to see where this race goes.
Okay, let's stay with you, Nikita. This story in The Mirror, actually. Dying with Dignity. What is that? What is this story about?
Yes, it's a very interesting story today in The Mirror, and it reflects, from what I understand, a longer-standing campaign to enable people to die with dignity in the UK. And as we know, the public has been quite heavily supportive of this. And from what I understand, what the Daily Mirror is covering is really, an individual's quest to try to die with dignity and have to go to New Zealand to do so. So now that they're kind of bringing up this campaign again, I think it is a very important one and one that has a lot of public support.
Okay, this was a big story yesterday. Twitter shares, Nigel, they're set to slump by a third. Did you think that he was going to go through with the sale, or do you think with the buying Twitter, Elon Musk, or do you think it was typical Musk and he was bound to pull out?
Well, I mean, certainly as critics are saying that one of the reasons he's doing this is that the share price collapses, and of course, Twitter will then become an awful lot cheaper for him to buy. Now, it's going to cost him £830 million to pull out of this deal anyway, but I suppose that that's probably small change to the world's richest man. What will happen, I guess, is that all this will end up in court, and wouldn't it be wonderful if the lawyers presented their cases in 280 characters?
That will never happen. So you think he'll get it? How long do you think it would take for it to drop in price enough for him to be interested again?
Well, what the Twitter staff are saying in this article is that they're expecting a fall of 30% when markets open tomorrow. So it'll be a pretty hefty plunge and happen very quickly. The argument seems to be over. Elon Musk's point is that Twitter claims there are only 5% of fake accounts, and he says there are an awful lot more. But it does seem to be a pretty technical argument, which is why I'm pretty sure it will end up in the courts.
Nikita, you have a few seconds just to tell us we can't fly anywhere because of the airport chaos, so now we can't rent a car.
Yes, it's quite something, isn't it? You have the cost of living crisis, the pound depreciating. People are desperate to go on holiday after COVID.
You've got 20 seconds, Nikita.
Rent a car, so good luck to those trying to go on holiday, I'd say.
Okay, fantastic. Nigel, Nikita, thank you so much. Have a great week. Lots more still to come on Sky News Breakfast.